The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 5, Section 3 on Bhakti Yoga. The dualistic think you cannot be moral unless you have a god with a rod in his hand ready to punish you. How is that? Suppose a horse had to give us a lecture on morality. One of those very writched cab, cab horses who move only with the whip, to which he has become accustomed. He begins to speak about human beings and say that they must be very immoral. Why? Because I know they are not whipped regularly. The fear of whip only makes one more immoral. You all say there is a God and that He is the omnipresent being. Close your eyes and think what He is. What do you find? Either you are thinking in bringing the idea of omnipresence in your mind, of the sea, or of the blue sky, or an expanse of meadow, or such thing, or as you have seen it in your life. If that is so, you do not mean anything by omnipresent God. It has no meaning at all to you. So, with every other attribute of God, what idea have we of omnipotence and omniscience? We have none. Religion is realizing, and I shall call you a worshipper of God when you have become able to realize the idea. Before that, it is the spelling of words and no more. It is this power of realization that makes religion no amount of doctrines or philosophies or ethical books that you may have stuffed into your brain will matter much. Only what you are and what you have realized. The personal God is the same absolute looked at through the haze of Maya. When we approach him with the five senses, we can see him only as a personal God. The idea is that the self cannot be objectified. How can the knower know itself? But it can cast a shadow as it were. If that can be called objectification, so the highest form of that shadow, that attempt at objectifying itself, is the personal God. The self is the eternal subject, and we are struggling all the time to objectify that self. And out of that struggle has come its phenomenal universe and what we call matter, and so on. But these are very weak attempts, and highest objectification of the self possible to us is the personal God. The objectification is an attempt to reveal our own nature. According to the Sankhya, nature is showing all these experiences to the soul, and when it has got real experience, it will know its own nature. According to the Advait Vedantist, the soul is struggling to reveal itself. After long struggle, it finds that the subject must always remain the subject and then begins a non-attachment and it becomes free. When a man has reached that perfect state, he is of the same nature as the personal God. I and my Father are one. He knows that he is one with Brahman, the Absolute, and projects himself as the personal God does. He plays as even the mightiest of the kings, where sometimes play with dolls. Some imagination help to break the bondage of the rest. The whole universe is imagination, but one set of imagination will cure another set. Those that tell us that there is a sin and sorrow and that is the world are terrible. But the other said, Thou art holy. There is a God. There is no pain. There are good. And help to break the bondage of the others. The highest imagination that can break all the link of the chain is that of the personal God. To go and say, Lord, take care of this thing and give me that. Lord, Lord, I give you my little prayer and you give me this thing of daily necessity. Lord, cure my headache and all that. And this are not bhakti. They are the lowest status or lowest states of religion. They are the lowest form of karma. If a man uses all his mental energy in seeking to satisfy his body and its wants, show me the difference between him and an animal. Bhakti is the higher thing, higher than even desiring heaven. The idea of heaven is of a place of intensified enjoyment. Enjoyment. How can that be good? How can that be God? Only the fools rush after sense enjoyments. It is easy to live in the senses. It is easier to run in the old grove, eating and drinking. But what these modern philosophers want to tell you is to take these comfortable ideas and put the stamp of religion on them. Such a doctrine is dangerous. That lies in the senses. Life on the plane Life on the plane of the spirit is the only life. Life on any other plane is mere death. The whole of this life can be only described as the gymnasium. We must go beyond it to enjoy real life. As long as touch me notism is your creed and the kitchen pot your deity, you cannot rise spiritually. All the petty differences between religion are mere word struggles, nonsense. Everyone thinks this is my original idea and wants to have things his own way. That is his struggles come. That is how his struggles come. In criticizing another, we always foolishly take one especially brilliant point as the whole of our life and compare that with the dark one in the life of another. Thus, we make mistakes in judging individuals. Through fanaticism, through fanaticism, and bigotry. Through fanaticism and bigotry, a religion can be propagated very quickly, no doubt. But the preaching of that religion is firm based on solid grounds, which gives everyone liberty to his opinion and thus uplifts him to the higher path. Though this process is slow, first first deluge the land, India, with spiritual ideas. Then other ideas will follow. The gift of spirituality and spiritual knowledge is the highest, for it saves from many births. The next gift is secular knowledge, as it opens the eyes of human being towards the spiritual knowledge. The next is the saving of life, and the fourth is the gift of food. Even if the body goes in practicing sadhanas, austerities for realization, even if the body goes in practicing sadhana, let it go. What of that? Realization will come in the fullness of time by living constantly in the company of sadhus, holy men. At a time comes, a time comes when one understands that to serve a man, even by preparing a chillum, earthen pipe of tobacco, is far greater than millions of meditation. He who can properly prepare a chillum of tobacco can also properly meditate. Gods are nothing but highly developed dead men. We can get help from them. Anyone and everyone cannot be an acharya, teacher of mankind, but many may become mukta, liberate. The whole world seems like a dream to the liberates, but the Acharya has to take up his stand between the two states. He must have the knowledge that the world is true and or else why should he teach? Again, if he has not realized the world has a dream, then he is no better than an ordinary man. And what could he teach? The Guru has to bear the disciples' burden. The Guru has to bear the disciples' burden of sin, and that is the reason why diseases and other ailments appear even in the bodies of the powerful acharyas. But if he be imperfect, they attack his mind also, and he falls. So it is difficult thing to be an acharya. It is easier to become a jiva mukta, free in this very life, than to be an acharya. For the former knows the world has a dream and has no concern with it, but an acharya knows it has a dream and it has to remain in it and work. It is not possible for everyone to be acharya. He is on he is an acharya through whom the divine power acts. The body in which one becomes an acharya is very different from that of any other man. There is a science for keeping that body in a perfect state. This is the most delicate organization or organism, very susceptible, capable of feeling intense joy and intense suffering. He is abnormal. In every sphere of life, we find that it is the person within that trump, and that personality is the secret of all success. Nowhere is seen such sublime unfoldment of feeling as in the Bhagavan Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the prophet of Nandya. Sri Ramakrishna is a force. You should not think that his doctrine is this or that, but he is a power living even now in his disciples and walking in the world. I saw him growing in his ideas. He is still growing. Sri Ramakrishna was born a Jiva Mukta and an Acharya. Next, Ishwar and Brahman. In reply to a question as to the exact position of Ishwar in Vedantic philosophy, Swami Vivekananda, while in Europe, gave following definition. Ishwar is the sum total of an individual, yet he is an individual. As a human body is a unit of which each cell is an individual. Some samakshati or collected equal gods. Samakshati or collected equals God. Vyashti or analyzing equals to Jiva. The existence of the Ishwar therefore depends on that of Jiva as the body on the cell and the vice versa. The Jiva and Ishwar are coexistence being, and when one exists the other must. Also because except on our earth, in all the higher spheres, the amount of good being vastly in excess of the amount of the evil. The sum total, that is Ishvara, may be said to be all good, omnipotent, and omniscience are obviously qualities and need no argument to prove that very fact of totality. Brahman is beyond both this and is not the conditional state. It is the only unit not composed of many units, and the principle which runs through all from a cell to God, without which nothing can exist, and whatever is real is that principle or Brahman. When I think I am Brahman, I alone exist, so with others. Therefore, each one is the whole of that principle. Next, on Jnana Yoga. All souls are playing, some consciously, some unconsciously. Religion is learning to play consciously. The same law which holds good in our worldly life also holds good in our religious life and in the life of the cosmos. It is one, it is universal. It is not that religion is guided by one law and the world by another. The flesh and the devil are but degrees of difference from God Himself. Theologian, Theologians, philosophers, scientists in the West are ransacking everything to get a proof that they live afterwards. What a storm in a teacup! There are much higher things to think of. What silly superstition is this, that you ever die? It requires no priest or spirits or ghost to tell us that we shall not die. It is most self evident of all truths. No man can imagine his own annihilation. The idea of immortality is inherent in man. Everywhere, wherever there is life, with it there is death. Life is a shadow of death, and death is a shadow of life. The line of demarcation is too fine to determine, too difficult to grasp, and most difficult to hold on to. I do not believe in eternal progress, that we are growing on ever and ever in the straight line. It is too nonsensical to believe. There is no motion in a straight line. A straight line infinitely projected becomes a circle. The force sent out will complete the circle and return to its starting points or starting place. There is no progress in a straight line. Every soul move in a circle, as it were, and will have to complete it. And no soul can go so low but that there will come a time when it will have to go upward. It may start straight down, but it has to take the upward curve to complete the circuit. We are all projected from common center, which is God, and will come back after completing the circuit to the center from which we started. Each soul is a circle. The center is where the body is, and the activity is manifested there. You are omnipresent, though you have the consciousness of being concentrated in only one point. That point has taken up particles of material and formed them into a machine to express itself. That through which is expresses that through which it expresses itself is called the body. You are everywhere. When one body or machine fails, you, the center, moves on, takes up other particles of matter, finer or grosser, and walks through them. Here is a man, and what is God? God is a circle with circumferences now nowhere and center everywhere. Every point is that circle. Every point in that circle is living, conscious, active, and equally working. With our limited souls, only one point it conscious is only one point is conscious, and that point moves forward and backward. The soul is a circle whose circumference is nowhere limitless, but whose center is in some body. That is but the change of center. God is the circle whose circumference is unknown or nowhere, and whose center is everywhere. When we can get out of the limited center of the body, we shall realize God, our true self, and our true self. A tremendous stream is flowing towards the ocean, carrying little bits of paper and straws, heighter or heighter and thinner on it. They may struggle to go back, but in the long run, they must flow down to the ocean. So you and I and all the nature are like these little straws carried in mad currents towards the ocean of life, perfection, and God. We may struggle to go back or float against the current and play all sort of pranks, but in the long run, we must go and join the great ocean of life and bliss. Jnana, knowledge, is creedlessness. Jnana, knowledge, is creedlessness, but that does not mean that it despises creeds. It only means that a stage above and beyond creeds has been gained. The Jnani, that is the true philosopher, strives to destroy nothing but to help all. All rivers roll in their water into the sea and become one. So all creeds should lead to Jnana and become one. Jnana teaches that the world should be renounced but not on that account abandoned. Nyan teaches that the world should be renounced but not on the account abandoned. To live in the world and not to be of it is the true test of renunciation. I cannot see how it can be otherwise than that all knowledge is stored up in us from beginning. If you and I are little waves in the ocean, then that ocean is the background. There is really no difference between matter, mind, and spirit. There are only different phases of experiencing the one. This very world is seen by the five senses as matter, by the very wicked as hell, by the good as heaven, and by the perfect as God. We cannot bring it to sense demonstration that Brahman is the only real thing, but we can point out that it is that is the only conclusion that one can come to. For instance, there must be this oneness in everything, even in common things. There is a human generation. For example, we say that all the variety is created by name and form. At when we want to grasp and separate is it is nowhere. We can never see name or form or causes standing by themselves. So this phenomena is Maya, something which depends on the noumena, and apart from it has no existence. Take a wave in the ocean. That wave exists so long as that quality of water remains in the wave in a wave form. But as soon as it does goes down and becomes the ocean, the wave ceases to exist. But the whole mass of water does not depend so much on its form. The ocean remains while the wave form becomes absolutely zero. The real is one. It is the mind which makes it appear as many. When we perceive the diversity, the unity has gone. And as soon as we perceive the unity, the diversity has vanished. But has in everyday life, when you perceive when you perceive the unity, you do not perceive the diversity. At the beginning you start your with unity. It is the curious fact that a Chinaman will not know the difference in appearance between one American and another, and you will not know the difference between different Chinamen. It can be shown that it is the mind which makes things knowable. It is only things which have certain peculiarities that bring themselves within the range of the known and knowable. That which has no qualities is unknowable. For instance, there is some external world, X, unknown and unknowable. When I look at it, it is X plus mind. When I want to know the world, my mind contributes these quarters of it. The internal world is Y plus number, Y plus mind. The internal world is Y plus mind, and the external world is X plus mind. All differentiation is either the internal or external world is created by the mind, and that which exists is unknown and unknowable. It is beyond the range of knowledge, and that which is beyond the range of knowledge can have no differentiation. Therefore, this X outside is the same as the Y inside, and therefore the real is one. God does not reason. Why should you reason if you know? It is a sign of weakness that we have to go on quarreling like worms to get a few facts, and then the whole thing tumbles down again. The spirit is reflected in mind and in everything. It is the light of the spirit that makes the mind sentient. Everything is an expression of the spirit. The minds are so many mirrors. What you call love, fear, hatred, virtue, and vice are all reflections of the spirit when the reflector is base. The reflection is bad. The real existence is not without manifestation. The real existence is without manifestation. We cannot conceive it because we should have to conceived through the mind, which is itself a manifestation. Its glory is that it is inconceivable. We must remember that in life, the lowest and the highest vibration of light we do not see, but they are the opposite poles of existence. There are certain things which we do not know now, but which we can know. It is due to our ignorance that we do not know them. There are certain things which we can never know because they are much higher than the highest vibration of knowledge. But we are the eternal all the time. Although we cannot know it, knowledge will be possible there. Knowledge will be impossible there. The very fact of the limitation of the conception is the basis for its existence. For instance, there is nothing so certain in me has myself, and yet I can only conceive of it as a mind and body, as happy or unhappy, as a man or a woman. At the same time, I try to conceive of it as it really is, and find that there is no other way of doing it but by dragging it down. Yet I am sure of that reality. No one, oh believed, no one beloved loves the husband for husband's sake, but because the self is there. It is in and through the self that she loves that husband. No one, oh beloved, loves the wife for the wife's sake, but in and through the self. And that reality is the only thing we know, because in and through it we know. If we know everything else and yet we cannot conceive of it, how can we know the knower? If we knew it, it would not be the knower, but the known. It would be objectified. The man of the highest realization exclaims, I am the king of the kings. There is no king higher than I. I am God of God. There is no God higher than I. I alone exist, one without a second. This monastic idea of the Vedanta seems to many, of course, very terrible, but that is the account of superstitions. We are the self, eternally at rest. We are the self, eternally at rest and at peace. We must not weep. There is no weeping for the soul. We, in our imagination, think that God is weeping on his throne out of sympathy. But such a God would not be worthy attending. Why should God weep at all? To weep is a sign of weakness, of bondage. Seek the highest always, the highest, for in the highest is eternal bliss. If I am to hunt, if I am to hunt, I will hunt the lion. If I am to rob, I will rob the treasury of the king. Seek the highest, O one that cannot be confirmed or described, one that can be perceived in our heart of hearts, one beyond all compare, beyond limit, unchangeable like the blue sky. Oh, learn the all holy one, seek for nothing else, where changes of nature cannot reach, thought beyond all thoughts, unchangeable, immovable, whom all books declare, all sages worship. O Holy One, seek for nothing else. Beyond compare, infinite oneness, no comparison is possible. Water above, water below, water on the right, water on the water on the left, no wave on that water, no ripple, all silence, all eternal bliss. Such will come to thy heart. Seek for nothing else. Why weepest thou, brother? There is neither death nor disease, nor for thy. Why weepest thou, brother? There is neither death nor disease for thy. Why weepest thou, brother? There is neither misery nor misfortune for thy. Why weepest thou, brother? Neither change nor death was predicated of thy. Thou art exist, absolute. I know what God is. I cannot speak him to you. I know not what God is. How can I speak him to you? But seest thou not, my brother, that thou art he. Why go seeking God here and there? Seek not, that is God. Be your own self. Thou art our father, our mother, our dear friend. Thou bearest the burden of the world. Help us to bear the burden of our lives. Though thou art our friend, our lover, our husband, thou art ourself.